Welcome everyone to Friday Night Young at Heart, featuring nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, Lewis Carroll, limericks, larks, the stories of the great operas, legends and epics and such. To keep us all young at heart, I'm Father James DeLuzio, and I'm ready to share with you this night Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This is an old medieval legend written in Old English and passed on from an anonymous author, but who was quite bright and articulate in the Old English. This is a translation, a modern translation, by the poet Simon Armitage. It comes to us from Norton Publishers, New York, with a copyright of 2007. And so, thankfully, we're going to be reading this modern translation, because without it, I'd be reading this. Where whir and rake and wonder by scythes has wont therein, and oft both bliss and blunder full skeet has skifted sin. To be read as, and wonder, dread, and war have lingered in this land, where loss and love in turn have held the upper hand. Better, right? Okay, just a very little preface here as he's going to start this great epic, which takes place in the early medieval period, in the great reign of King Arthur and the court of Camelot. But he doesn't start there, not to at least the second page, and the reason is anyone in those early times wanting to write an important story, a story with epic proportions, wanted to make some connection to antiquity. And that was so important as a foundation for the power of the story. And so, as in so many of the Roman myths, and the sense of Rome's founding, they didn't want to just take everything as it was from Greece. They felt competition with Greece. So they found their own sense of antiquity, and that's why they changed the names of the Greek gods. So Zeus becomes Jupiter, etc., etc., etc. But so true for this English ballad. He wants to set the stage in the same way. So he goes back to Troy. He first begins to refer to Aeneas, who, the legend had it, was a traitor to Troy, allowed the Greeks to take over because he didn't get enough credit for his great strength in battle and his leadership and his maneuvers. So he was angry with Hector and Priam and Paris, I guess. And so he betrayed Troy and went conquering out on his own to make a name for himself. And this Aeneas, as you know, bumps into Romulus and Remus and inspires the founding of the great Rome. Now, this is the introduction to the story that takes place in Camelot, because then gently, sort of, the author reminds us that from there and Rome and all these beautiful cities of Italy, we move across the Sea of France, as the English Channel was once called, into Britain. And when he introduces Arthur, now we already have these great conquerors and warriors and those who bestowed their names on some of the most beautiful ancient cities of the world. That's already in our mind. So now Arthur just fits right in, and then he's able to go with the punch that Arthur was the greatest of all, because after all, he's writing for the Anglo-Saxons and the Britons and for the English population. So there we have it. And now let's go to the poetry of Simon Armitage, which is interpreting for us the Old English of the anonymous writer of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Once the siege and assault of Troy had ceased, with the city a smoke of cinders and ashes, The traitor who contrived such betrayal there was tried for his treachery, the truest on earth. So Aeneas it was, with his noble warriors, went a-conquering abroad, laying claim to the crowns of the wealthiest kingdoms in the western world. Mighty Romulus quickly careered towards Rome, and conceived a city in magnificent style, which from then until now has been known by his name. Tisius constructed townships in Tuscany, and Langobor did likewise, building homes in Lombardy, and further afield, over the Sea of France, on Britain's broad hilltops, Felix Brutus made his stand, and wonder, dread, and war have lingered in that land, where loss and love in turn have held the upper hand. After Britain was built by this founding father, a bold race bred there, battle-happy men, causing trouble and torment in turbulent times. And through history, more strangeness has happened there than anywhere else I know of on earth. But most regal of rulers in the royal line was Arthur, who I heard is honored most of all. And the inspiring story I intend to spin has moved the hearts and minds of many, an awesome episode in the legends of Arthur. So listen a while to my tale, if you will, and I'll tell it as it's told in the town where it trips from the tongue, and as it has been inked in stories bold and strong, through letters which once linked have lasted loud and long. And now he'll begin the tale, which we'll save for next time, so this little pericope won't be too long for you. But I hope it's piqued your interest and brought you in that sense of ready for a great adventure. Now you may ask, why did I choose Sir Gawain and the Green Knight? Because I recently saw a very powerful film called The Green Knight with the Indian actor Dev Patel. Really well done. It's the story of the Green Knight, but the director and writer is the same, turned the story upside down, turned it on its ear, or at least sideways, because this story is in the tradition of great chivalry, popular in the early Middle Ages and later inspiring the Crusades and such. So it's all about heroes and the idea of the perfect man, great warrior and lover. But the film exposes that and asks the question, is this really what we honor most about life? Is this the heroism we want our men to take? And so it's wonderfully pondering, wonderful wonderfully contemplative film. And the whole thing is like a dream. It happens the pace is very slow, and there's a lot of mist and shadow in it. But I definitely recommend it. But perhaps you're going to wait until after we read the original epic, and I may give it to you in a couple more days than just Friday nights, because it's a little lengthy and we want to get through. But by special request, I don't want to be too long, my sessions, because I know you're busy people, as I too. So, God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Tune in next Friday, if not earlier, when I will continue and actually start, because he's had a long prelude, with the Court of Camelot Sir Gawain and when that Green Knight appears. And if you know, what time of year do you think this story begins at? Good night, everyone. God bless.